Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to episode 9. This is episode 10, another special video. Today we're going to be doing the NBA Draft Lottery. And thank you all for all the subscribers and the views. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all the support. And I'm going to head it over to Braden so you can get right into it.
Today we are trying something new. Um, we are going to try to do a shorter episode just to see if that does better than our longer episodes. And if this video does better, then in the future we are going to try to do shorter videos just so you all can um
Shorter episodes
yeah,
or shorter videos, more
yeah.
episodes.
Um Tagging along to last episode, if y'all watched the beginning of that, we are still in the process of trying to get a studio for all three of us to record in. We're working on that still. But yeah, so today's episode, like I said, it's gonna be a little bit shorter, but it's over the NBA draft lottery, which just happened yesterday. Do one of you two have picks 1 through 15?
Portland has the 14th pick. Sacramento has the 13th pick. Oklahoma City gets Houston's 12th round pick via their trade a couple years ago with the CP3 and trade to the Thunder. The Chicago Bulls have the 11th pick. The Jazz have the 10th. Memphis rounds out at 9. Toronto gives their pick to San Antonio via their trade. Portland gets the 7th pick. Charlotte earned the 6th pick. Detroit, sadly, for the second year in a row, earns themselves out of the top 5 or out of the top 4 with the 5th pick. San Antonio also gets a top 4 pick along with their 8th pick. Houston gets the 3rd pick, which is kind of nice for them given that they actually had a little bit of success this year. And then the down and lowly Washington Wizards get the 2nd pick, and then rounding out the 1st pick and the next year in this year's draft is surprisingly the Atlanta Hawks, which I did not see coming.
So yeah, those are picks 1 through 15 that were drawn yesterday. Um the first thing I do want to talk about, Austin didn't kind of tag to it when he's talking about the top 15 picks, is this is the second year, excuse me, this is the second year that the Pistons had the fifth overall pick despite having the worst record in the past 2 years. Do you all have any thoughts on that? Do you think that the system is rigged? Do you think it should change? Because in my personal opinion, I don't see the point in the draft lottery. I think it should be how the NFL does it, where it's whoever does the worst has the first pick and so on, like down the list.
And see, I have mixed opinions about that because here's the thing, Braden. If there wasn't there's a difference between NFL and NBA because in NBA you can only have a certain amount of players. In the NFL, you can have up to 50 on your roster. So then that's why there's 6 rounds versus the NBA, there's 2.
7.
7. Sorry, I miscounted. But anyway, and so the NBA has 2, and there's less players that fit a roster in the NBA than there is the NFL. But if there was a system in place where the worst team in the NBA got the best pick, teams would tank. And I'm not saying teams don't tank in the NFL, but it is harder or it is much more apparent when a team is trying to tank for, say, last year when Wembanyama, generational player. I mean, we saw what he did this year. If he was obviously going number 1. There was no doubt about it that he was going to go number 1 overall. And if the Pistons, who had the worst record, I mean, I know they're actually really bad, but it encourages a team to tank. There could have been a really good team that decided to say, "Hey, let's just tank this year and just lose games on purpose just so that we can get the number 1 pick." Versus in the NFL, there's also a limited amount of games. There's only 17 games in the season versus the NBA, there's 82. There's less room for there. It's more apparent when a team is trying to tank in the NBA versus especially if you're a good team. So it encourages bad behavior. And what it basically does is, like, I know Detroit is a terrible team, but like they shouldn't get the number 1 pick every year just because they're bad. And doing the draft lottery allows other teams to get a chance to draft really good players, and we've seen that in the past, and we saw it this year.
Tyler?
Yeah, I agree with the tanking problem. That would become a huge problem because think about it. As long as like teams they can help themselves tank, and also you can't help with injuries. So if say a rookie gets hurt or somebody that's trying to make a team better gets hurt, and tanking helps with getting that first overall pick for the next year. But the only thing, or the only plus that I would say for having the worst record is you have the highest odds, like not even tied with second or not even tied for first. For the odds, you have at least a 20% chance, maybe a little bit lower, maybe 19 or 18, and then you fill out the rest from there. Because I feel
Now,
like that would be more fair.
I do believe that after the 14th pick, it is based on teams finishing record-wise in the playoffs, right?
Um,
I think so,
yeah.
yes. Because the team that wins the NBA championship gets the last pick in the first round. Same.
I mean, I see where you all are coming from as far as the aspect of tanking. I think Austin had a good point about the difference between the NFL and the NBA. I know that the NHL also and MLB both do the draft lotteries, similar to the NBA. So I mean, I agree with that, but at the same time, um, it makes it. I wouldn't say it's unfair, but for a team like the Pistons to win what 13 games,
14.
14, just to get the fifth overall pick, I feel like is kind of sad. Because you lose all those games purposefully or not, and yet they get the fifth pick. So I think that there should be something in the mix to fix that or make it more of a favorite to them.
Because they
Uh,
did they did have the number one pick in 2021, but it was a really weak draft class, and they drafted
yeah.
Kate Cunningham.
So,
Yeah.
um,
out
but with that being said, ending up with the number one pick was the Hawks, for the first time since 1975, which some of our parents were like a few years old when that happened.
My dad was born. My dad was 3.
My dad was one. So, um, so yeah, that's definitely or no, dad wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, what the hell?
Wait, yeah, dad
You're
wasn't
an
even
idiot.
born yet.
You're an idiot.
So, so the last time the Hawks had a pick, my dad wasn't even born. So, if that doesn't go to show anything, that's kind of sad. So, with that pick, Tyler did research and found out it was David Thompson was the one that was taken first overall. Um, do you all think that this number one overall pick will be a said prodigy, just like Wembenyama was? Do you think that this is kind of like what Austin was talking about, like the 2021, like not a stacked draft class where they'll get a big talent that they need? What do y'all think what do you think? Are they going to be that prodigy that they need?
So, as I was doing research about this and David Thompson going first, I saw this draft class and I was just getting a knowledge of names, players, how they play, or whatever. And the thing with the Hawks is they're an organization who obviously it's known that the organization is centered around Trey Young, and we know his play style is more of a shifty kind of pick and roll offense. We know he doesn't have defense. So with that first pick, I think they should go and get a center, maybe somebody like Zach Edey who can help protect the rim.
Zacky's not going first overall, but I agree with the center part.
That's what I said.
No,
Somebody like that.
no,
That's what I said.
no.
Somebody
They
like that.
don't need a center.
You think Clint Capella's getting it done?
No,
No,
Yes, dude.
you're you're crazy.
he's washed.
Name one center in the draft that
Let me let me
potential.
let me do a little.
Kyle
If you say Zach
Filipowski,
Edey, I'm gonna drive over to your house and strangle you.
Filipowski.
He's not a center, idiot. He's a
He's a
power
power
forward.
forward, but it's the same
Not a
thing.
center. I'm waiting. Don't even say clinging because he's not. Because you can't think there's not a lot of they don't need a center. What they need is a power forward who they lack a lot this year.
Filipowski.
They have really good wing depth. I'm not but I'm not you said he was a center. That's the problem that I had with
I
that.
personally, I think that they should go with more of a person that could help support shooting, not just Trey Young, because I mean
They're
they
not going
have,
to go for
huh?
they're not going to go for a guard. If they do, Trey
That's what
Young's
I'm
gone.
saying because they already have what
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray, he's there too.
Yes.
So they I
He's
mean
in
they
there.
already
I
have.
think Dejounte Murray's probably there's a potential that
No,
he's
he's their
gone.
three. He's
Oh,
a starting
he's
power
there too.
forward.
He's there
He's
too.
small. No, he's small forward. He's not a shooting guard.
Yes, he is.
Jalen Johnson's the shooting guard.
Okay. Anyway, I think that they should go with someone like Rob Dillingham, where you have a
No.
bigger shooter.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray is their 2 guard. Bogdan
Are you
Bogdanovic is their small forward. Yes, I'm on their depth chart right now. So suck
I
my dick.
saw him play a lot of small forward this year.
Obviously, you
But
didn't watch a
anyways,
lot of Hawks games.
I did watch a lot of Hawks games, actually.
Oh, you're a Hawks fanatic. I wouldn't want to like the Warriors either.
but with the first pick, everybody, I mean, Alex Sarr is probably ultimately going to be #1 overall pick. I mean, he's probably going to be like another
It probably
generational
will be
talent, like
Alex.
To be fair,
like
though,
Wemby.
to be fair though, I saw something where it said that whoever before the draft lottery even happened, that there was a bunch of people, a bunch of NBA executives saying who were in contention for the #1 pick, said that they were going to take a lot of time reviewing depth. Yeah, because there's at least, in my opinion, there's at least 5 players who could go #1 overall, realistically. And that's a serious take. Like, I'm being so serious about that because that is how weak this draft class is. There's no definitive #1. Last year there was. The year before that there was. The year before that, and in the previous years before, there's always been one clear-cut person who's just definitively been the #1 pick. Versus this year, it could be uh what's the guy's first name, last name? Sar Alexander.
Alex.
Yeah,
Alexandros.
it could be him. It could be. I've seen reports. It could be Dillingham. I've seen it could be Shepard. I've seen it could be Klingon. I've seen a lot. I've seen that other. There's like 2 other international players who are in contention. There's Nikola Topic, um, who's also in contention. There's another guy from France who's also. So there's guys up there who are. They just have to evaluate them, and the Hawks have a important decision here to make because I feel like whatever they do with this pick is going to dictate their future. And the reason why I say that is what I just said a couple of minutes ago, where I said if they draft a guard, I think that's the end of Trae Young's tenure in
That
Atlanta.
I'm gonna agree with you on that because right now you have 2 amazing scorers in the league right now with DeJounte Murray and oh my god, Trae Young.
And
The
they're
thing
still mid
is,
as hell. They're still mid as hell. They
I
can't.
mean, yeah, they can't get to the first round.
It might
But
be time.
as I'm looking on their depth chart right now, and I look at Clint Capela's stats, and he only averaged 11 and 10 on 50% from the
Good. That's
field.
good. Good.
Well, I
That's
mean,
good.
that's decent
For a center,
considering
there's a lot of
considering that uh, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray have the ball majority of the time. Uh, but I just generally think if you have an outside presence for Trae Young and you have a mid range to get into the basket kind of guy as DeJounte Murray is, and then you add a talented offensive center, that only moves your offense. And with a guy like Zach Edey who has the shot blocking that we know and we saw in the national championship, I think that would be honestly probably the perfect pick. Maybe they trade down and get some, or maybe to 3 or 4, get a guy from whoever they trade, and then draft Zach Edey. That
they
would
could.
be honestly what I would do.
Zach Edey is not that good. I'm sorry, he's not.
You find the right guy, and he will become the Wemby stopper for the future.
Okay, but here's a different take. Do you think that they should trade the pick?
I think that it's an option. It's out there on the
No,
table. No,
it's an option, but I don't think they should trade it.
if they want to keep Trae Young, I think that they should sit down with him and say, "Hey, we can do one of two things here. We can trade the pick and we can try to get a star for or a good role player or a good piece to fit this roster because we like it how it is, or we can say, hey, we think our time is done. We're going to draft a guard. I think it'll be Shepard or Dillingham. Those are 2 of the best guards in the draft right now. As much as I hate to say that, they are extremely talented players who can contribute at a winning level for a really mid team and make them good. And I think that they have 2 options there, and I have a feeling they're going to lean more towards trading the pick because I feel like they should build around Trae Young. That's just my opinion, though.
They definitely
I
should.
get what you're. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I just don't. If it's going to be a center, it's going to be Klingon. It's not going to be Edie. I have not seen any reports about Edie being anywhere close to touching a lottery pick. He's
I
just
mean,
not.
I saw a video the other day that he's adding a 3-point shot to his game,
That
so that's going to be a little
I
interesting
saw
going forward
that
with him.
he's projected to go to the Miami Heat.
which is a terrible pick, but whatever.
That's what I saw. But anyway, so personally, I think that they should trade the pick, um, just because if they really do want this Trey Young stuff to work out, then they're going to need to give him another star, like superstar star, to help him on the next level. Whether that's just not another guard, because they are fine with guards. They just need to give him either a small forward, a power forward, or a center that can help him on all aspects of the floor. Defense,
The,
shot creating, whether he's, a paint scorer, whether he's a mid-range center, or whether he's like what's his face? Porzingis, where he can shoot threes and shoot middies. So I think that if they can get with that pick, they can trade it to whatever team for whatever player that they like or that Trey Young likes to help them score on a night and night out basis. I mean, this team could be I would say a contender, but definitely a good team next year.
they
You're gonna have to put up a fight to beat that team.
the one underrated guy that is being overlooked by Shepard, Dillingham, Alex Sarr, Nikola Topic, that I would see would be a great fit for Atlanta is Dalton Connect. We saw in college that of how an elite scorer he was, and honestly, I think he has the best
Here's
NBA
the
game
problem.
fit.
Here's the problem though. He's too much of a scorer. What happens when he gets on a team with Trey Young and DeJounte Murray, who are ball dominant players? He's not going to be.
You
He's not.
also have to think about if they do trade that pick, they're gonna have to try to trade for someone that's worth a round one pick one plus some picks.
But that's all I got to say on that one. That's all I got to say.
All right. Um, for our last question, we go to the San Antonio Spurs for our last discussion for this episode. Obviously, they got the fourth and the eighth pick, which in my opinion, those are two really, really quality picks. Um, I mean, I've seen anything from them taking at four. They could take Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham, who like those two
I think they
Kentucky
should
players,
take both.
or they could take both if they're both still on the board. Which honestly, if you ask me, if you put Shepard, Dillingham, and Wembenyama all on the same team, where you have two players that just played really well on Kentucky's team together, shooting wise, and then you have a lockdown defender and a shooter, Wembenyama.
I'm gonna make a wild take. I'm gonna make a wild take. I think that if I think that Reed Shepherd next year will make an all defensive team, and the reason I say that might be third team, but it's not
I,
hard.
as a general take, I agree with you. Watching him at Kentucky, that boy's hands
He's
was
got he's
I've
got
never
cookie.
seen.
He's got
Yeah,
cookie,
he's,
and
And
he's
not
I
to
got
mention, on the other side of the floor, on the offensive side, and boy can shoot anywhere on the floor.
yeah, he's really honestly, in my opinion, he was the best player in UK
Well,
last year.
he's also a shot creator and a passer.
Yeah.
So if you get Reed Shepherd at the key, cross over someone, goes to the lane, gets stuffed, pass it out to Wembanyama, he shoots a three, or you pass it to Wembanyama, he runs in for an oop or something. I mean, that team, honestly, that team
Because
could go,
think about it.
I could see that team if they do that, if they draft Dillingham and Reed Shepherd, I see that team going to the Western Conference semis.
Because think about it. When Wemby's worst year is gonna be this year was last year. That his worst season in his NBA career is gonna be last season,
And he's still won Rookie of the Year.
and he still won Rookie of the Year by a unanimous vote. It wasn't even close. Like that debate was over by mid October. Like it's just and it wasn't even close. And we saw what he did on the Spurs. And I know that they still had a really crappy record, but that was not a reflection of his play because when he was on the floor, they had the best defensive rating. I don't know if you knew that. When he was on the floor, they had the best defense in the NBA. When he was not on the floor, they had the worst. And that's where they lost all the minutes that he wasn't playing because he's a rookie. He's not going to be able to play 48 minutes a game like Josh Hart does. Like he's not conditioned for that yet. He might at some point, but he's not If he wants his career to last a long time, he cannot be playing that amount of minutes. So, and the problem that they had was their core is too young and too inexperienced. So you get someone like Reed Shepard,
Just too
who's
shit in general.
yeah, who's really good on defense, and you pair that with a teammate he's already played with before in Dillingham, and then you also on top of that have another UK player on that team with Keldon Johnson, and there's a bond between
Just the
team or
Wildcat
yeah
bond.
between former
Austin,
college.
to take from the words that you were just talking about, I kind of want to ask you all this question just to kind of end it off. You were talking about how they're young and they're developing players on that Spurs team. Do you think that next year that the Spurs could, if by perchance, be the next Thunder, where they absolutely shock the world, coming with a young core, and make it? I'm not saying they can make it to the first overall seed like the Thunder did this year, but they can make a good name for themselves in the playoffs and make it decently far.
No, because the reason I say that the Thunder were different this year because last year they had a really good season. The only reason why, I mean, they finished with the barely out of the play-in spot or barely out of the playoffs without Chet. With Chet, they had the number one seed. So I think they could be a fringe. They have to show progress first. You can't just go from the worst team to being a contender in one season. It's just not going to happen. They can next year. Their goal is to make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, that's a really good step.
I
I
say
can see that.
play in.
Play in, playoffs, either one is like if they win more games than they do last year, that's a win in my book. But you have your center stone in Wembenyama. You have the coach who's shown that he can win at the highest level he has before with two previous number one picks, and you know what you're going to get out of the team as it is because we saw what happened with them last year. If they nail this draft, if they do it correctly, and I think that the one pick they should at least get is Reed Shepard. I think that he would be a really good piece on. You pair that defensive man with Wembenyama, they're probably the best defensive team on paper when you look at next year. When you have Sohan on the team who can play really good defense for his size, and you have arguably who should have won Defensive Player of the Year, but shit's rigged anyway. Um, you have all those really good defensive players on the team, and if they take the step up with those rookies, I could see them at least making a little bit of noise in the play-in, or maybe even make the playoffs. I see them though; they have a bright future. I mean, with the picks that they have this year, I see them at least making the playoffs either next year or the year after.
I agree.
So
They nail their
so
picks.
so as I'm looking right now, they have, like we've said, they have the fourth and the eighth pick. I feel like we nailed it as saying for them to take Reed Shepard and Rob Dillingham and pair them two together. But I'm also looking at off-season moves for the Spurs, and right now, one person that I could see that would be, or actually two of them, that I could see would change their team as a whole is so you draft Shepard, right, to be your two way two guard. You draft Dillingham to be your point guard of the future. You have Wembenyama, right? You get a veteran guy to help the young guys as DeMar DeRozan, who is an
LeBron
upcoming free agent.
James.
No, and then
His
you
son,
grab
James.
and then you grab Nicholas
Ronnie's
Claxton.
in the draft this year, right?
Yeah,
No, he's staying. Yeah, he's all in this year.
but anyways, y'all hear what I'm saying though.
Also, let Tyler
dumbass
talk.
team.
Let Tyler talk. Let Tyler talk.
I
But
just
you
wanted
hear what
to.
I'm saying.
Yes.
So and if you grab a guy like Nick Claxton and you pair him with Wemby, Wemby can be that stretch five, and Nicholas and Claxton can be another presence inside that can help Wemby, and so Wemby doesn't have to just focus uh, on defense, and he can be on both sides. So I think that would be those four moves would help the Spurs this offseason and have probably one of the best offseasons they've had in years.
Let's be real though. One dumbass team is going to end up drafting Bronny just because they think they have a chance to get LeBron. It's going to happen. I know it is.
You know the number one team that I saw for that to happen?
Who?
The Magic.
No, I don't think. No, they're not that stupid. There's one stupid team that I have a feeling the Lakers are going to do it.
No,
Be real though, because I know that LeBron has a chance to stay.
we're not even gonna have that many draft picks, so I could see what you mean.
Yeah,
All right,
but
well,
that's
do you all have
he's not gonna
anything
go.
else? Do y'all have anything else before Tyler sends us off?
No, that's. I mean, the only thing I want to say was that, with in regards to the Bronny James situation, he's a good player. I just don't think that he should have stayed in the draft, and some team's going to end up drafting him only because of his dad. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, you just gotta roll with it.
All right, Tyler.
All right. Well, thank you all for enjoying this shorter of a episode. We look forward to maybe making more videos like this for you all to enjoy, because we figured that most people don't have an hour out of their day to spare.
If
Unless
y'all
it's
like this video,
pre-scheduled.
please leave a like to make sure that we
Yes.
know.
And comment down below something like we like shorter videos better rather than long ones, or if you all still want us to post these short ones and then happen to maybe often make the longer ones and then post some of the short clips. Just let us know down in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe. As always, free. Like I said, hit the like button and comment.
And Austin's at a rave. Austin's at a rave party right
Wait,
now.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
every time you talk, the lights go off.
Are you sure it's the microphone and not my computer? Austin. Austin.
Yes.
Is it out of my microphone or my computer?
I don't know. I can't tell the difference.
Did not know that. Dang, bro, I look tan as a John, bro.
So this is they had the
They just suck in general, dude.
they just don't want the #1 picks to go to a poverty franchise. I feel so bad for Detroit Pistons fans. At least they have the money, right?
Is Tyler frozen for you too?
Yes. Why does he look like he's what?
Because he threw a pillow
I
and he froze.
love how he froze in
My
that.
camera fell.
Oh, yeah,
My
this
camera
camera.
I tried to hit my light and I hit my camera.
Dude, it's stuck in place.
That's funny.
I might have broken my camera. That thing fell so far.
I love how it's stuck in this frame.
We're going over 14 picks?
No. Oh my God, you're stupid. No, I'm just saying. Start the episode by
Nobody's
saying.
angry.
Start the episode by saying. Start the episode by saying like, okay, here are the picks for the lottery starting from pick 14 through 1. We're gonna list them off real quick. You know, just brief synopsis, like. And then you
Why
can
don't we
read
just
it.
do the top 5?
No, did you hear anything I just said? Did you
No.
hear anything I just
No.
said?
I heard Japanese.
Can you open your ears for 2 seconds?
Sure.
Thank you. So the order was set. This is what the order is. We're gonna count down from 14 and just list them off, and then start say the Thunder, or not the Thunder, the Trailblazers get the 14th pick, and then lead all the way down to the #1 pick, and then say, and surprisingly talk about their pick.
This is episode 12, right? No, 11. I got confused because there's 11
This
videos.
is 10.
This is 10? Okay.
We're cooked. We're cooked.
All right.
And the
All right, just
episode
making
hasn't
sure.
even started
ju-
yet. You like my gummy bear on my microphone? Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to episode number 10. Thank you all for enjoying episode 9. What? We are not having this problem again.
Brain, I
What?
can't get over your gummy bear. I'm sorry. You gotta take that down. I can't stop smiling at that.
We are not. Oh, we're not doing this again.
Brain,
All right,
you gotta
just shut up,
I messed-
shut up, Tyler. Go.
you gotta take the gummy bear down, or else I'm gonna
No,
keep
the gummy bear is staying.
Where is he going? Oh no.